What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition, not of the transfer view, of the morning view. The morning view is back. The transfer window is over. The transfer season is over. Ironically enough, we are going to be talking about some transfers possibly for the summer, but we're back with another edition of the Morning View. Now, if you haven't seen the Morning View, it was because it was launched during the World Cup, DJ, and it's a bit of a hybrid. It's, yes, transfer news, but it's just about news going on in the world of Manchester United, whether it's transfers, whether it's injuries, whether it's, in the case of Rafael Varane, retirement yesterday from international football, whether it's about games ahead. It's just a bit of everything. It's a fun show. It's a fun breakfast morning show. It's Friday. It's the 3rd of February. How you feeling, DJ?
I'm feeling great. It's actually my son's birthday today. So shout out to him. Shout out to little man. All my money is literally being thrown on him. So that's how it should be. I'm feeling good today. United are in a positive way. And you know what, Owen, I think a lot of these mornings, we haven't had a lot of these mornings in the last few years where we wake up a bit positive about Manchester United. We're in a final. We've got a manager that really knows what he's doing. The team are pulling together. We're in such a good, and we're getting players back from injury. We're in a good space.
We're in a good space. Is your son at the age now where you're getting big lists when it comes to birthdays? Big list of presents, all that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you what, right? So Christmas is only a couple of months ago.
It's true, yeah.
So he literally has everything. So we're down to the educational stuff now. It's down to books and we're on that stuff now.
Oh, DJ.
The gadgets, technology, the phones, the toys. Yeah, we're past that now. He's got everything. Books. We're getting them books now. So yeah. So shout out to him.
Need this. This is a gift not only for your birthday but for your future. You know, this is for your brain. This is education.
Do you want to know something? No, big plot twist. Guess what?
What?
He's an Arsenal fan. Yeah, I might as well just give him to AFTV, Robbie and them lot. Might as well just send him over there. Don't ask me how that's happened. He was born in a United baby grow. He went off to one of his uncles, so it's his grandmother's brother. And I went on holiday and I came back and he was an Arsenal fan. And he was talking about Saka and everything. I was like, excuse me? This is sacrilegious in our family. What's going on here? I had words with everyone, but they were like, oh, it's his decision. And he's an Arsenal fan. So that's the pain I endure, but I still love him. So,
man. I mean, growing up for me, I didn't have a choice. I mean, there wasn't even a discussion. There wasn't even a discussion. Not that there's any supporters of any other teams in our family, because again, it's that strict. But it wasn't even a discussion. It was, you like Man United or you don't like football. Okay, or you're not living here.
Yeah,
no meals. Exactly. There was a Man United shirt or the door there. Yeah, sort of make a decision. Easy one to make. Anyway, we're going to be talking about some transfers this morning. As I mentioned, Vlahovic possibly in the summer. David Raya as well. The goalkeeper search continues. We are going to be talking about Rafael Varane too. Obviously, he retired from international football yesterday. Diogo Dalot's back in training. Is he going to be involved? What's the situation at right back? Sabitzer set to make his debut Saturday as well. And a big February ahead. So plenty to get into this morning, guys. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's talk about Vlahovic first off. Now, he is a name, DJ, that some people, once we've been talking about Harry Kane, when we've been talking about Osimhen, some people have been saying, what about Vlahovic? Could we go for him? Well, it's been reported by outlets in Italy, Rudy Galletti to be specific, that Manchester United and Arsenal have interest in Vlahovic in the summer, of course, amid Juventus's financial issues at the moment. Now, it's being reported that Juventus would be looking to receive around £71 million to allow him to leave, which to me is a very specific number, 71 million, not 70, 71 million. However, as I mentioned, obviously, now with their points deduction, looks like Juventus are going to finish about mid-table in Serie A this season. An investigation is, I guess, still ongoing into their finances. We don't really know what could happen in the future. But before, when we were talking about Osimhen, when we were talking about Harry Kane, lots of people are saying, what about Vlahovic? You know, would he be in that list of players you'd be looking for that striker role in the summer?
100%. I think he's a really good player. I think he's only 22 at the moment. And when you look at his attributes, you know, he can play with his back to goal. He has a bit of turn of pace, and he has a very, very good left foot. And he has a bit of that aggression that you need as a number 9. Plays the number 9 role very, very well. Can kind of do all the things that, you know, that the horse up front can do, but way better. Plus, he has the a little bit of individual skill. He matches up quite well with sort of like Kane and Osimhen. Not to say that he's better players than Kane, better than Osimhen, but he matches up well in terms of what we need in the profile as a striker for our team. I would be happy with either of the 3, in my opinion. Either of the 3 would do well for Manchester United. With him, though, 22 and at 71 million to be exact, I think that's good value for money.
It would be good value for money. Paul's just gone in the chat. Who would you rather sign, Kane, Osimhen, or Vlahovic? And I think that's going to be a quite close one. That's quite interesting. I'm with you that out of all of those options, not that I don't care, because that's not true. I think my preferred option still would be Osimhen. But look, but I'm not going to complain. You know, I'm not. DJ, we got Vlahovic. You know what I mean? I think any and all of those options will do well. It might come down, unfortunately, to finances, as it sometimes does with Manchester United, even though by that point, hopefully, new owners, new budgets, Champions League football, one would hope. It should be, the choice shouldn't necessarily be financial. The choice should be, hopefully, who's the best one, or who does Erik ten Hag want the most? Right? That's the final call should be. Eric, out of those 3, we think we can get all 3 of them. Which one do you want? And to be fair, if Ten Hag says, I want the one you can get me like tomorrow, then it might be someone like Vlahovic. Then it might be someone like maybe Harry Kane. Maybe the Osimhen's one's going to be a bit more difficult in that it's going to cost a bit more. And when the deal's that big, it might take a bit of extra time. Yeah. And maybe Ten Hag will want what he didn't have this past summer, which was, the guy was on tour with none of his signings. One of his signings was Malacia, wasn't it? Apart from that, Eriksen wasn't on tour. Casemiro wasn't on tour. Anthony wasn't on tour. Martinez wasn't on tour. The bulk of this great team that we're sort of lauding and praising at the moment wasn't even there during the majority of preseason. And to be fair, maybe that's why we're now just getting to the point where we're like, man, this team's really, really good, because it's taken this while to gel together. They didn't have that couple of month period in preseason together. So maybe it might be a case of, well, who can you get me the quickest? Because last season it was dragged out a little bit. And maybe with Vlahovic, it can get done fairly quickly, given Juventus's financial situation. However, DJ, as is always the case, we forget this. I always say this. We forget this as Manchester United fans. We will not be the only one that's in for the player. Plenty of people, plenty of clubs will be interested, because plenty of clubs will be sniffing around just Juventus in general. Given their situation, they'll be thinking, hey, we can get that player for cheaper than we would usually get. And they're saying Arsenal. And Arsenal were in for according to Arsenal fans, they were in for Vlahovic before, but then he moved to Juventus and he went, oh, we never got an offer. I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. Yeah. So if it was a choice between Arsenal and United, where do you think he could end up?
Oh, I mean, you know, if, and this is a big if, you know, I know City, I think 5 points behind Arsenal, but if Arsenal do win the Premier League this season, you know, that is, you'd be going essentially, you would have to pick between the Premier League champions and a team that, and I'm hoping we get top 4. So, you know, he would have to make that decision as at 22 years old. Do you go to the champions of the league, or do you go to a team that's just on the way up? I think it comes down to the projects. And it could come down to, you know, the personnel, our manager. You know, I think our manager's a really good manager. And I think Vlahovic is definitely, for me anyway, this is my opinion, but definitely within Ten Hag's type of player. Definitely within that type of remit. Vlahovic, for me, is a very good player. But I think if you had to make that decision, it'd be tough to bet against Arsenal, just because that's if, and that's presuming they will win the Premier League. I don't hope Arsenal win the Premier League. I hope someone else does it. I hope someone comes out of the blue and wins it.
Yeah, but for your son.
Yeah. So it's one of those ones where it'd be very hard pressed to pick past Arsenal if they win the Premier League. So I'd say you probably pick Arsenal.
I don't know. Like I said, I think it depends on the project, I suppose. Look, also as well, it depends on the Juventus are going to sell to the highest bidder as well. That's an important point there because of the financial situation. And it might become a situation like Martinez in the summer, where Yes, United bid more, but again, in that instance, it was actually Martinez saying, well, once United came in for him and once Erik ten Hag was in for him, he was going to always go to Manchester United over Arsenal. So again, it might be a case of which manager can win him over as well. VK with the super chat says, my money be on Alexander Mitrovic. Happy birthday, DJ Jr. Well, there you go.
Thank you, VK.
Alexander Mitrovic. That's one of those ones with United, isn't it? That just constantly gets brought up over and over and over again. Tabislaw has also been a member for 7 months. Appreciate 7 months of support. One of the mods extraordinaire, says Osimhen is to it. Or actually, is it Osimhen or Osimhen? Because I get picked up on this a lot.
I thought it was Osimhen with the H.
I thought it was Osimhen. The only reason I say Osimhen is because I never knew how to pronounce it. And then one morning I was doing an appearance on Sky, and I think it was Darmash said, so Victor Osimhen, and I thought, well, that's how you say it. I'm just going to... On the spot, I went, like I knew how to pronounce it. Well, I think Osimhen, that might be... I didn't know how to pronounce it. But is it Osimhen or Osimhen? Lots of people are saying, well, we're getting both. Some people are saying Osimhen, some people are saying Osimhen. Wow. If there's anyone from Nigeria in the
let's
chat.
just say Osimhen. Yeah, if there's anyone Nigerian, please.
I would ask KG, but but he will get the wrong answer. He don't know. He calls him Victor.
He's part. He calls him by first name basis.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's part of the fan club.
Osimhen is too expensive because we need several players and not only one. While Vlahovic is too injury prone, in my humble opinion. Kane is too old. Glory United view, love and peace. So Tabislaw saying no to all three. Then I guess who would be the option? Then Gonzalo Ramos, maybe is that the one they're looking at? I'm not sure. We're getting a lot of different pronunciations in the chat as well. I don't know.
Do you know what I think with United? I think at this time, United probably want just a recognised goal scorer where there hasn't there. That's why Kane, in a sense, could be a safe bet, because if you get him in, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know exactly what he's capable of. There's going to be no adjustment to the league. He can hit the ground running straight away. He'll be playing with better players than us at Spurs. So you can naturally assume he's going to score more goals. I think United could benefit from that. And instead of having sort of like an unproven striker in the league that, has done great things outside of the league, but come to Premier League, there's just a different kettle of fish, isn't it? It's a different style of football here. So that's where there are pros and cons to all three, I'm guessing. Injury records is a big thing for me as well now. As you can see, we've had Martial out for a while. We've had Sancho out. We've had players out. Again, I'd even go down to who has the better injury record. Who can play the most games in a season, because we're going to need that. So
all three have their injury records. To be fair, all three do. I mean, if you get Harry Kane, he misses about a quarter of every season. The ankle injury will always rear its head. So that's that. Vlahovic had his injury issues. Osimhen also has had his. I was reading the story the other day, just out of curiosity, about Osimhen's mask. He said, "Where's the mask?" And by all accounts, at this point, he doesn't need to wear the mask. He wears it more for comfort, just to feel more reassured. Because I didn't realize, like, his facial injury that he got, like he fractured like his eye socket and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And there's pictures of it where it is nasty. It is a nasty, nasty injury. And the mask has kind of evolved over time. And now he's got the one where it is like a bit like a Batman mask.
Yeah, you literally have a superhero. We would have a superhero.
I mean, KG, he is in dreamland if we sign him. He said like a Nigerian Batman. Are you kidding me? I think he's pitched that film to Warner Brothers about 10 million times.
He must have.
Him in the lead role. Oh my goodness me.
New DCU. We've got the new DCU. James Gunn.
If you're listening, Gods, was it God? What's the first chapter?
Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters. KG, fits that to a T. A god and a monster at the same time. Oh, how he can be Swamp Thing, something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
do you reckon that? If let's say he does come to Manchester United, that those masks are going to be part of our merchandising. Like everyone's going to now wear a mask, a Victor Osimhen mask.
100%.
Everyone, I would. I'd wear it. Straight.
I feel like too, because they said like at this point he doesn't need it, but it's more for reassurance, and also like how superstitious footballers can be. He might be like, since I put on, it's almost like Bane, isn't it? So I put on the mask, no one cared. True. That's very true.
That's very, very true, actually.
That's
very true. And maybe
exactly.
he feels like having the mask is helping his goal scoring, helping
exactly.
Yeah.
But again, for a fact, if United get him, we are getting all of the above mask on. They won't have TeamViewer on because I have a different sponsor by then. But everything on the KG will have one. I mean, 10 million % KG will get one.
I'll get one. Definitely.
But yeah, with the options, actually, let's look at the poll as well. Let's see what the poll's saying. Already over 300 votes, and 65% say Osimhen they would prefer. Coming in second is Vlahovic with 25%, and only 10% saying Harry Kane. Do you think with Harry Kane, like I'm not against as much the Harry Kane deal as I think others are. Like I've seen others being like, absolutely no way, don't get him. He's too old, etc., etc. And granted, in terms of longevity, you would think Osimhen's probably a better option. You're going to get more value for your money there. But at the same time, if you get Harry Kane, even at the age of 30, we know what he's going to do. We know what he's going to do in the Premier League. He's going to get his goals. And, it could it be a Van Persie-esque signing for us?
Yeah, I can't remember who said that the other day. That was said on the show the other day. Someone said, it could be our Van Persie, or it might have been in the comments. Can't remember. But big up to you, whoever said it. But I think it could be. I think it could be because he is a recognised striker in the league. He's top 3 in the league, definitely, and has been for a long, long, long time. And to do that in the Premier League, that is very, very impressive. Now, I'm not saying that Osimhen and Vlahovic aren't impressive, but guys, if we really look at it, they've done it outside of the Premier League. They've done it to a decent level, but as we know, the Premier League, week in, week out, like in the winter when it's cold and the pitch is muddy and the slide tackles are going in, Kane has been tried and tested. That's why I'm not against that signing at all. I just think that there's a stigma almost attached to it because it's a very Manchester United signing, and I think we're trying to get away. In a sense, it would be a Glazer-esque signing, but I think that's why it's attached. It has a stigma attached to it. So going for sort of like Osimhen and going for Vlahovic, even though they're recognised strikers in Europe, it would be seen as more of a, like a step forward if you got one of those younger players in. Yeah, progressive. Yeah, exactly. Just like when we signed Ten Hag, progressive manager, a new manager that's on the up. So I can see all the different sides to the argument.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not against it. Like if we sign Harry Kane, I'm not going to be like, that's a terrible deal. I'll be like, he's a fantastic world-class player. His goal scoring record is fantastic. Harry Kane is a weird one because people are almost not constantly, but there's the punditry side of things in the UK or in England rather, and they do big him up, I think, too much. Like they are when every season they say if Man United wanted to do anything, they should buy Harry Kane when it was never feasible before. And you go, well, that's ridiculous. Now it is feasible. But there are other options. There are other options, and there might be better longevity, and there might be better value for money. And as we said earlier on, ultimately what it comes down to is if Ten Hag wants Harry Kane and he thinks Harry Kane's the right option, get Harry Kane. If he thinks that Harry Kane's not going to fit into his style, or if he thinks Harry Kane's an option that isn't sustainable in the long term, then don't get Harry Kane. Like the ultimate decision should lie with him. As you said, it shouldn't be like it was in the past, which was sort of like, hey, Jose, we're getting Harry Kane. Would you want him? Well, I guess if you're going to get him, fine, you're getting him. That was kind of the process. Ed Woodward going, how cool? What's the biggest brand available? Not the player. What's the biggest brand available? And the biggest brand out of all three of them, of course, it's Harry Kane. I mean, he's a global star. Everyone knows Harry Kane. But would he be best for Manchester United? Maybe not in comparison to the other players.
Yeah, I think some of the things that they'll look at as well, because it might even come down to the real fine details. It might come down to Kane's play style. Now, I look at Kane and I think he's not tremendously slow, but he's not tremendously quick either. He's just under average in terms of his pace and stuff. And I think Ten Hag does want a front three of forward players that have a bit of pace about them. Now, then, if that's the case, then you look at Osimhen, who has all of that. He can hold up the ball. He's a great finisher, a good header of the ball, can strike a ball, and he has a bit of pace about him. So then you start going through with a fine-tooth comb, you go through the attributes of what best suits United. But in saying that, Verkels doesn't have pace, but he's doing well. And with Kane, you get a massive, massive superior upgrade. It's like going from an RM to a Mac. You literally get, no disrespect to Verkels, but you go from an RM computer to a Mac. Owen, was you alive when RMs came out?
Probably not.
I think, what, 93, 94, something like that. Guys, if you know when the Orange computer came out,
I was on the way.
He was on the way. It was a squared off cream. It was like a weird off-white colored computer block. But anyway, yeah, I'm going on a tangent here. But yeah, I think Kane is a massive upgrade on sort of like the holding up play and the technical ability that Verkos has. And yeah, it's a tough one. And it's going to come down to a lot of factors. There's going to be a lot of variables: price, age, attributes. Can we, as you said earlier, I think it was a great point. Can we get the striker in earlier where they can be on the preseason tours? Depends what Ten Hag wants, really.
Super chat from M Sati says, I asked this before. Worst case scenario and as a last option preference, if it's between them only, City or Arsenal to win the Premier League, and rationale. DJ, who would you want to win that one? City or Arsenal, and what would your rationale be to win that? Wow. Stunned into silence. Well, I'll take it then. I'll take it. Who would I prefer to win the league, City or Arsenal? As Ed says, DJ said no comment. Who would I prefer to win? I would probably go with. That is a tough. Probably Arsenal, honestly. Even though there you go, I'm probably Arsenal. Probably. I would probably go with Arsenal just purely because. But honestly, Arsenal fans are insufferable at the moment. They really are. And City, I think I know like one City fan, if that. Probably, I'll just go Arsenal. I'd go Arsenal. That's what it would probably be. Just Josh Media, Graphics Guru, Visual Ninjas laughing. It's a disgrace. It's a cheat. Yes. And now I'm exposed. You can see my whole environment. Maybe I'll go back to the overlays again and be like this. Yeah. I'll just do the rest of the show like this. I hope DJ comes back. I had plenty to talk to him about. Wow. Let me if I just scooch that down. There you go. You can see that. Ignore it. What else was I going to talk about too? I was going to talk about goalkeeping situation. Well, it's good that you and I were left together alone, okay? Because we're going to talk about goalkeepers. Spurs, Manchester United, and Chelsea are interested in David Raya. Brentford want to keep Raya, but he turned down their initial offer of a new contract. Now, goalkeeping situation at Manchester United, interesting. We still haven't heard anything else when it comes to David De Gea. We still haven't heard anything about what's going to happen with that one. The last we heard was that he was negotiating. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Look at this!
I don't know what happened. It's the Gremlins this morning.
It's a disgrace. It's a cheat.
It's a disgrace.
I asked you the question. I thought you were just avoiding the question. That's what I thought it was, which was City or Arsenal to win the Premier League. What's the rationale? If you had to pick one. And that's the reaction I had. For a second there, I thought you froze again. Oh.
Yeah, no, sorry. I have a habit of doing that. I can stay really still.
I'm like this.
See Arsenal to win the league. Okay. I'd want City to win the league because I think they'll win the league because they've been tried and tested now. I think the 5 points behind is nothing for them. They can easily close that gap. They've got a lot in their squad to close the gap. The thing is, if Arsenal win it, we're never going to hear the end of it. We are never going to hear the end of it. If City win the league, you get a couple of their fans pipe up, but it's relatively at this point in time in the last few years expected. So,
but that means they've won the title 3 years in a row.
So be it. Like, them Arsenal, they don't deserve anything nice. They don't deserve anything nice. And if they win, Owen, we are never going to hear the end of it. They will always have that over us. City, I don't give a damn. We've won the league 3 times in a row.
We'll have it over there. We've still won it. We've won it way more than Arsenal.
Of course, but
they can win it once.
Recent history.
Then Arteta can leave and they can have a meltdown, inflate the ego.
I just don't want them to have nothing nice. I want them to literally, they'll probably get top 4, but don't win the league. And then I can say, you lot was giving it all of that. That was your best shot in how many years to win the league, and you ain't going to get close again. So I'd rather that. But that's my rationale.
Be sure to smash the like on the like button, guys. Got over 850 watching. If you click the like button, I think you pay for DJ's Wi-Fi bill, so he doesn't leave.
Just like the good old days.
Exactly. Oh, remember that, the 50-minute DJ. Yeah, tremendous. Josh says you're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. Probably got nothing to do with the Arsenal slander there. He just tends to say that a lot. It's becoming a bit of a nervous tick for him. Yes, I was talking, DJ, about goalkeepers. Spurs, Manchester United and Chelsea are interested in Brentford's David Raya. Brentford want to keep the goalkeeper, but he turned down their initial offer of a new contract. Now, as I was saying, we haven't really heard anything as an update about David De Gea and his situation from just before Christmas, which was they're negotiating a new deal on lesser terms. The feeling is he wants to stay. However, United haven't ruled out bringing in a new goalkeeper despite De Gea being on reduced terms. Would Raya be someone that you would be interested in? I mean, he's one of those names, isn't he, that he keeps getting brought up. That every time we talk about, every time there's people that don't like De Gea or want an improvement on De Gea, Marcel, Cam, those people that want an improvement, they always bring up someone like David Raya. Could you see a situation where Raya and De Gea, that rhymes, are battling next year for the goalkeeping spot?
Yeah, I think that's something that could definitely happen. Again, it comes down to finances, comes down to where we're at financially and where we can strengthen. Is goalkeeper a priority for me? No, it's not. However, if we do have the money to spend and Ten Hag does have the luxury of being able to address maybe 4 different positions within the team comfortably, and we can put in, decent amount of bids to get players, then I'd definitely go for Raya. Again, profile-wise, he does kind of fit, the Ten Hag type of player. Plays out from the back, sweeper keeper, all of that. Very good technically, very good with his feet, very good passer of the ball. So that definitely fits within kind of Ten Hag's remit of what he wants his goalkeeper to be. Now, there'll be no point making a bid for him if there isn't a general feel that he could challenge for that number 1 spot. And I don't think any player should be lied to. I think De Gea would have to be told, look, you're negotiating lesser terms. We're going to bring someone in to challenge you for that number 1 spot. You might not be guaranteed to start the amount of games you start every season because we're going to have this person challenging you. If De Gea's up for that, then that's great for us as fans because then you're going to have 2 players pushing each other in that position. And I think that's how it should be in football. I think, there should be a battle for the number 1 spot. De Gea's been with us since he was about 20 years old. So eventually you do need to phase out, your older, more established players to bring in newer blood. And I think that's just the correct way. And that's how it should be. So if by all accounts what I said is how it's going to be done, then great, go and get the player.
I like David Raya. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think the argument of, well, they both play, Raya kept De Gea out the Spain side, so he's got to be good. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that works with Spain now that Luis Enrique isn't there, right? That's going to be interesting because he wasn't retired, even though I think the Spanish football president rung De Gea and said, congratulations on your retirement. He went, I'm not retired. I don't know what you're talking about. So whoever that new manager of Spain is, that's going to be interesting to see if De Gea gets his way back in or if they continue going with Raya and Simon. I think they're there as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. I like the idea of him coming in and him De Gea competing. I think that's fine. However, I agree with you. I think in terms of summer priorities, striker's the key one. I want to see another midfielder to support Casemiro and Eriksen, and I guess possibly replace Sabitzer when he goes back to Bayern on loan. I think he'll still be looking as well at the fullback situation, which we're going to touch on a bit later on. So those positions will be more key than a goalkeeping situation. However, if the opportunity presents itself and they can get it done, and look, they're saying here that they want to offer him a new contract. Raya keeps turning it down. I don't know how long's left on it as well. You might be able to get him somewhat cheaper than maybe his actual value, and then maybe it is the time to strike for that. And it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for David De Gea to have legitimate competition.
Yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Tom Heaton and those others, but they're not taking a spot anytime soon. And maybe having, again, that competition might just, you know, we might have a Raya come in and we might see him play for United. And we might go, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, we just didn't see it. You know, we play so much better with him. But at the same time, better the Red Devil, like that, DJ, the Red Devil, you know, because David De Gea, as I've mentioned several times, he makes saves that others cannot make and others do not make. And there has still been several times this season where he has won us games based on the saves that he has made, last-minute save, key saves. And some people will say, well, Owen, he's also cost us 3 points because he's made mistakes as well. Every goalkeeper makes mistakes. For whatever reason, David De Gea's get highlighted more. I've seen this season, I've seen people like Alisson make mistakes that have cost goals. I've seen Edison make mistakes that have cost goals. We're talking about some of the best goalkeepers in the world, the standard that we look to. Keepers make mistakes.
Yeah,
you know, it does happen. My key thing is how often those mistakes happening, and are they actually saving us? Are they doing their job, keeping it out of the net, which David De Gea does indeed do?
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I look at football players, you know, most football players are at a very good standard, especially in like the Premier League and stuff. But when I look at players, I look at X factors. I think what actually makes them different from the other player that's in their position. And I think for De Gea, it is his sort of like supernatural shot stopping. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for it. And, you know, the Cams and Marcels of this world, I love them dearly, but the agenda against De Gea, I do understand a little bit of their viewpoint, but I think it's a bit over-egged. Like, we have a keeper here that literally, as you said, Owen, does what other keepers cannot do or try to do, and he does it on a regular, consistent basis. Now, I'm hoping he doesn't have to do it too much because of our defense, because our defense has been looking really good this season. But in terms of, you know, just his skill set, he is phenomenal. He is literally phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? He can do what other keepers can't. How many times has I remember Juan Mata hitting a free kick when Juan Mata was at Chelsea, and it was going in, and you just see De Gea fly across the screen. All he needed was a cape and a mask, and you think it would have been Superman in the net. Well, Superman don't wear a mask, but you know what I mean. Maybe as the little, you know, the little Jericho, the Jericho thing. Yeah, maybe that. But anyway, yeah, definitely. I just think that it gets underrated a lot, and we do have a world-class keeper there. Does he need to be challenged? Yeah, of course. The game's evolving. Football's evolving. It's not all going to be about shot stopping. It's about what else you can do. So, yeah, I think you're right. Legitimate challenge, a legitimate competition for places is not going to harm anybody.
No, I agree. And again, if Raya came in and he was doing these amazing performances for United, I'd be the first to say, well, no problem, man. Keep him there. Yeah. You know, it is football is what have you done for me lately? But lately, David De Gea has done quite a lot for Manchester United, right? I think back to, you know, say the Palace game at Selhurst Park. We're playing Palace this weekend, but Selhurst Park, first half, he made a phenomenal save. Absolutely brilliant save. And again, I just think other keepers, they can make that save, but they don't make that save that often. And the fact is, De Gea makes that save that often. So many times we go, David De Gea, what a save! What a save! Unbelievable save. So that's what David De Gea does. But look, I'm sure as we get closer to the summer, the conversation about goalkeepers will continue. Raphael Varane, the ghost, the wraith, the phantom. Flex was very emotional yesterday, but in a good way, because Raphael Varane, his international career has come to an end. There were rumors about midday yesterday that he was going to announce his retirement, and then suddenly it was announced. He announced it on his Instagram page, posting a lengthy statement explaining he had decided to retire from international football at the age of just 29. He's 30 actually in April. It's a bit of a young age to retire, but according to Le Parisien, Raphael Varane is starting to experience some form of physical and psychological wear and tear. He also aspires to devote more time to his family. The World Cup final against Argentina certainly contributed to his decision to retire from international football. Now, I must say, DJ, selfishly, when I heard this news yesterday, I thought fantastic. Because he's one of these players that not every single time, but the majority of time he went on international duty, he came back hurt. He came back injured, or you're worried about him getting hurt or him being burnt. And we have seen this recently in the last few games. Of course, he played against Forest, but the 2 games prior to that, Reading and Forest, he didn't play. He was on the bench. He knows that he can be fragile physically. United know that. They've had to manage him throughout this season. They had to manage him in pre-season. So him deciding to retire at the age of 29, I see as a positive sign of him going, look, physically, I do break down quite easy. I do want to continue playing games. I want to spend more time with my family. And that's the best move to take, I think, for him. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I heard the news and I just thought that good for him. Good for him. He has nothing really left to prove in football, really. And we know that France as a nation, they produce a lot of good talent. So it gives, maybe some of the younger guys coming up through the French national team, they can get their spot in the first team. Varane's been sort of like a mainstay there for a very, very long time, since he was young. So it is good to see him kind of, devote more to the family. I think we can't even argue against that. And yeah, the selfish part of me is like, yes, concentrate on club football. Great. He's not going to come back injured. And as you said, he knows his limitations now. He knows, put it this way. I think when a player has a lot of niggling injuries, they never truly go away. They just get better or healed slightly over time, but they'll always recur depending on the time frame. And I think he's managing his body a lot better nowadays. I think, playing on international duty, it can be quite tough. With all the flying and traveling, so he probably wants to spend more time with the family, as opposed to as well when you have the your domestic league, you're playing a lot of games there. So good for him, just good for him, and he will always be remembered as he'll be remembered as a France legend at still a young age, and that's telling. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, again, achieved a lot with France, got to several finals. I mean, got to Euro 2016 final, obviously won the World Cup in 2018, got to the World Cup final this time around. And sort of the lasting image, I suppose, of him in a France shirt is almost like collapsing with exhaustion at the end of the World Cup final. But bear in mind, he put everything on the line to go to this World Cup as well. He had to rush against time. He got injured against Chelsea. He was in tears because that kind of explains it now, because I suppose he probably knew in the back of his mind, after this World Cup, I'm probably done.
Yeah.
And he was probably thinking to himself when he was coming off that pitch at Stamford Bridge, that's it. I'm never playing for my country again. I'm never going to have the opportunity to go to a World Cup again. And he managed to recover in time, played excellently at the World Cup, got to a final. And even the day before the final, there was that virus that was going through the camp. I don't know what it was, an illness or something like that was going through the France squad. And even that, he managed to push through that, play nearly 120 minutes worth of football, and put everything on the line for the French national side. And like I said, got to several finals, won a World Cup, as you say, certainly a legend. But at the same time, you have to know when the time's right and physically whether you can do it or not. Some players, look, they're just unbelievable. They have no injury issues. Some players are unbelievably fit. They can play international football right to the end of their career. Other people, like Varane, they've got injuries, and you have to know your body, and you have to say to yourself, okay, how long do I want my career to go on for? Because I could continue doing what I'm doing now, international and domestic, but it's probably going to be a shorter career because I'm going to burn out. Or I say, just before I turn 30, I can't do international football anymore, and I play for 6, 7, 8 more years because I've extended my career out a little bit longer. And again, I think that's the right thing for him to do. And as a United fan, like you were saying, selfishly, I'm happy with that because I do think it's the right move for him and the longevity of his career. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. We've nearly got 1,000 people watching. We're less than, we're one viewer away from 1,000 now, DJ. So if you haven't already, click the like button, and then maybe we'll get 1,000 people in. That would be tremendous. And see if you can get to 250 likes. We've got some super chats as well. Ray S says, go all out for Osimhen. So Osimhen's Ray's preferred choice. Mark says, with how we are going, do we really want a Taibbi Bosnich situation? He's not costing us games. In fact, he's done the opposite over the last 10 years. How is this a question with fans? Well, it's a question with fans, I think, Mark, and I appreciate the contribution as always. I think you raise a good point in the sense of, as I said, better the devil you know, or better the red devil you know, because sometimes when we've got to get someone else in because they'll be better. Not everyone's going to be better. And do you trust United to make the right choice of bringing someone in that could be better? Raya could come in and he might struggle with the pressure of that shirt. Plenty have, especially at Manchester United in goal. It's a real pressure position. Even David De Gea, it's taken him over a decade or took him a while to get comfortable in that shirt because the pressure that comes with it. Some people might not be able to handle that pressure. the reason it's a conversation with the fan base, I think, is because rightfully so, they're always looking to improve. Sometimes it is a case of wanting change. Sometimes it is wanting the shiny new toy. Sometimes it's envy, looking at other teams with more progressive goalkeepers, which David De Gea is not, and saying, I want that. But maybe that comes at a price. And are you willing to pay said price? Sometimes they don't think about the consequences of that decision as well. So look, again, I think that David De Gea discussion will continue until either he signs a new long-term deal or he goes. I don't think at this stage he's ever going to win those naysayers over. I think even though this season he's shown improvement, I think with his distribution and his starting position, he is never going to win people over. I've seen him make those world-class saves and I still see people go, that's what he should be doing. Okay. It's like, and then I've also seen, and because this happens a couple of times, especially in recent months, he'll do a good pass. I forget which game it was, but one of his passes led to the goal. And people will just ignore that.
Yeah.
But when he does a bad pass and it goes up for a throw, and they'll go, see, this is why David De Gea needs to go. He needs to have a 100% pass completion rate, DJ. Yeah. He's not allowed to misplace any passes because no other goalkeeper does that, right? No other goalkeeper.
I think the thing with De Gea, and a lot of people, I know as fans, we understand this. He plays for Manchester United. So everything you're going to do is under the microscope. If you come in with a big fee and you don't perform in your first 10 games, they'll say you're a flop because you're at Manchester United. It doesn't matter about kind of how things have gone in the last few years. The name in football respect still carries a lot of weight. Now with De Gea, I'll be honest, he does do a lot of misplaced passes. He does quite a lot. So I think maybe because people have built this habit up, and it's all to do with narrative, isn't it? When you get, I think I can't remember what player it was. There was a narrative around a player that's always injured, and then you broke down the injury record. You're like, actually, guys, he's only had that one injury. So it's like, as football fans, we do kind of cling to narratives without actually knowing the full picture of everything. And I think that's with De Gea. And look, at the end of the day, world-class shot stopper, and shot stopping does win you matches, and shot stopping can win you Premier Leagues. So again, I think it's just a little bit of a stigma attached to him. And you're right, he's probably never going to get the flowers he deserves. He's probably just never going to get it.
Super chat from Mark says, maybe we go with the goalkeeper Ten Hag wants. Food for thought. What a crazy concept, Mark. You're crazy. You're insane. How dare you? But
another thing, Owen, quickly actually, is De Gea probably won't ever be sort of respected and lauded until he leaves football. Because it was the same when we had Carrick. We knew he was a good player. He had some good things about him, but we didn't truly appreciate him until he left. And he was like, actually, yeah, Michael Carrick. He's like, he got more respect when he left. And not to say that Michael Carrick and De Gea are in the same bracket, but it's just one of those things where players might just get more respect when they leave the game.
Indeed, that is possible. I do want to talk about Diogo Dalot this morning as well, because Diogo Dalot is back in training for Manchester United. He resumed training after a 3-week layoff. Of course, he's been struggling with this hamstring injury that he suffered at the World Cup. He came back for a game against, was it Everton? And then he came off. No, he was forced against Charlton, on January the 10th with that hamstring strain. And Dalot's back in training. My question is, the reason why I brought this up this morning, DJ, is, and I've asked this a few times, but I'd like to know your response to it. Who is right now the number one right back at Manchester United? Is it Dalot?
Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'll cut you off. It is Aaron Wan-Bissaka right now. He's earned it by merit. He's had his time where he had to sit out, and he's come in and he's absolutely done amazing, both defensively, and we see him slightly offering something offensively with some of his runs. So, and he's becoming really inverted now. He's slowly turning into that Ten Hag fullback that we want. There's still going to be question marks over, him checking his shoulders all the time, his blind spot all the time. That's one thing that he just has in his game. But I think right now he is the undisputed right back of Manchester United at this moment in time. And you know why? Because Dalot hasn't been available. That's why. So if Dalot gets a chance, comes in, then we can see two players battle it out. But we can't say that Dalot's the number one if he hasn't been playing. He hasn't been playing. He's not been able to be picked. We haven't seen him. And as you said, football's about what have you done for me lately? And Aaron Wan-Bissaka's done a lot for Manchester United lately. So he is the number one right back at this moment in time. Can that change? Of course it can. Definitely.
Who is number one right back for Man United right now? I think it's very close. I think it's way closer than we expected this season, to be honest. I think, as I've said previously, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka deserves a ton of credit. And Erik ten Hag, but I think Wan-Bissaka deserves a ton of credit because the development that we've seen from him since Christmas, nobody saw that coming. I mean, it changed the January transfer window for us as well, because I think, if anything, we were talking about, maybe a right back in January. That was off the table. That was no. They were saying that Juranovic from Celtic was this option that we were considering for a right back in January if Wan-Bissaka left. And with his recent form, Ten Hag went, no, we don't need another right back. I think they'll revisit it in the summer because I don't think that situation is completely resolved. But as of right now, who's number one right back? That's a very tough question. Because I think we can't forget what Dalot had done all the way through this season. He was playing every single game at a time also. And this is what you point out, that Dalot's not been available. During the time in which Dalot was playing so well this season, Wan-Bissaka wasn't available for any of that. As Ten Hag said in the press conference to our own, KG, the comedian, Mr. The Comedian. He said to him, the problem was earlier this season is that he had injuries, he had illness, he had issues that he couldn't participate in training sessions and be on the pitch. So it was only Dalot. And if Dalot wasn't available for whatever reason, or he had to come off, it was Malacia at right back. So I still think in Ten Hag's mind, Dalot's the number one choice. If everyone's fit and available and ready to go, it's probably Dalot. But what I do like is that it's a legitimate conversation right now. What I do like is that I don't mind either at this point. Before, if you'd have seen that team sheet, that starting 11, and you saw Wan-Bissaka, you'd go, oh, good.
Yeah.
What's this going to look like? Wan-Bissaka passing the ball. I mean, touch.
Know
he's got condition.
Yeah. I think for me I think for Wan-Bissaka, for me, I feel comfortable now. When I see him on the pitch, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable and secure knowing that going forward, he's contributing, and defensively, he's always going to contribute. He looks way more positive. He's playing way more positive. He's playing with a lot of confidence. And I think as a fan of the team, when you just watch your players play with that confidence and play like they've got a weight lifted off their shoulders, when I watch Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that's how he's playing at the moment. So yeah, like I was joking to KG, he needs to bring out a brand of maybe some footwear called the Wambi 5s or whatever, with him slide tackling as the logo. Hey, Wan-Bissaka, if you watch the show, man, we're from the same area, man. We could do business. So just look me up, please.
Exactly. I think it's interesting here. Joe says Anthony has a better partnership with Dalot as well, and I would say, does he though? Because I've seen,
I don't think so.
I've seen Anthony's relationship with Wan-Bissaka developing quite well too. You can let us know actually in the chat, who does Anthony have a better partnership with? Is it Dalot or is it Wan-Bissaka? Because again, I think, and maybe it is a little bit recency bias because he's been playing recently and we've been doing well recently, but I have seen I've seen a connection between them. However, you would say that Dalot's played more games with Anthony, so he probably has a better relationship there. I mean, I just like that there's competition there. I like that it's a conversation point. Earlier this season, it wasn't even a conversation. Yeah. Now it's a bit. At least it's like, well, either or. I'm okay with either or. I probably prefer Dalot, but I'm happy with either or.
Yeah, and at the moment in time, I think, look, if there are a lot of people that say that Dalot is the number one, okay, cool. It doesn't need to be a big debate. But then I will say is this is the depth that you do want in your team, where you have, let's say, the number two, if it is Wan-Bissaka, which he is, the number two right back coming in and putting in great performances where the quality doesn't.
Number one. You just said he's number one.
Well, I'm just saying, just for argument's sake, if the people do think Dalot is number one, at least now, if Wan-Bissaka is the number two, the levels of performance haven't dipped too far below the Dalot level of performances. They're not that much lesser, if that makes sense, at this current time. So I think that's what you want in a squad, where you can bring players in for the same position and the quality hasn't really dipped too much. So yeah.
That poll that was in the chat, who should United's number one be? David De Gea won that one with 447 votes. There was 78% were saying David De Gea. So David De Gea getting the nod over Raya there this morning. A couple other things I do want to talk about this morning, and be sure to smash a like on the like button. Got over 1,000 people watching, less than 300 likes. I mean, I don't know if I need to put the feeling thing on the screen like that and just wait. And just wait till it comes up. I mean, there's other things I can put on the screen as well. If that would raise it, there's KG with hair. We can put that on there. with the painted on hair. We can have that. We can have only Flex and Veg horses that can go on there too.
Wow.
The stuff we've got in the back end, by the way, is ridiculous. There's Marcel's Wolverine with Dubravka.
I love that.
I could get that up as well. I want to talk about Sabitzer because it's been confirmed. The Premier League have confirmed that Marcel Sabitzer has been added to Manchester United's squad list ahead of this weekend against Crystal Palace. Now, there's going to be a preview coming with DJ and myself. It might look like we recorded it just after this. You'd be wrong.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, do you expect Sabitzer to start this weekend? Do you think he will get his debut, or do you think he would do what Erik ten Hag usually does, and that's take his time, ease him in?
Yeah, I think he'll ease him in. No harm really to have him on the bench just for now. Players are still playing well. The team is playing well. Don't change a winning team. And yeah, he'll definitely get his chances. He might get an appearance around 60th, 70th minute for Manchester United. Again, I was unsure of how many games he's actually been playing this season, if he's fit, ready to go in. But again, with Ten Hag, you never know, because I thought he was going to field a weakened side couple of nights ago, and he didn't. So again, I can see both things happening. I can see him being on the bench, because I think not even just him, but I think Sancho and the rest, the guys that came on, probably with the admission of Rashford. I think Rashford starts obviously, but I think the other two are definitely going to be on the bench, and maybe keep Sabitzer as part of that trio that does come on around 60th, 70th minute for the likes of Fred, because Fred's in some form he's in form, he's playing regularly, so
scoring goals.
Yeah, scoring goals. So yeah, just don't change it. There's no point. And if we've learned anything from Ten Hag, is players have to earn things off merit. So we'll see. But I do think he does get his debut, but I think he'll start on the bench.
I don't know. I mean, it's so difficult to predict Erik ten Hag teams. And the thing is, I was sort of thinking about this the other day, that we're saying against Forest he played a strong side, and he did, but he still made 6 changes.
Yeah,
he still made 6 changes from the side at Reading, which we also said he played a very strong side against Reading. Is every side just a strong side at this point? I mean, I don't know, and I don't know. I don't know what side he'll pick. I mean, because against Forest, the back four was our strongest back four right now, but the front 3 or 4 probably wasn't our strongest front 3 or 4 right now, because he didn't play Rashford. He didn't play Martial, came on the bench. You would say is the number 1 striker, probably guys of Ten Hag. But Bruno did play. I mean, I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know what team he's going to play. The preview is going to be very interesting because of this, because I've stopped predicting. I have no idea what he's going to do. It's so tough.
It's so tough. And again, I'd like to think he's prioritizing, but it seems to me that he wants everything. He says he wants absolutely everything. It doesn't matter how small the competition is, how we look at competitions. He actually wants everything, and you can tell that by his team selection. And he's really good at sort of like mixing and matching. So he's really good at putting a few, stronger players in there with a few, second string players. And he's good at balance. He's really good at balancing out the team. And you're right. The two sides that he did put out in the last couple of weeks have been quite strong. And I thought he was going to make wholesale changes, quite weak sides. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if Sabitzer starts. I wouldn't. But I think the safe bet is maybe he will come off the bench. Just because of pattern of behavior from Ten Hag.
Speaking of Sabitzer, he posted a comment on made a post yesterday. I mean, I know social media, DJ. He made a post.
Oh, you mean it?
Yeah, he made a post. He did one of those postings on Tinterweb. He said on Instagram, "Come on, Manchester United. I am looking forward to the opportunity to be a part of this team. I would like to thank the officials at Manchester United for their trust in me. I'm really excited to play in front of our passionate fans at Old Trafford and for this huge club with its big tradition. I am ready." He is ready. So is he ready to start, or is he ready for the bench? That's an interesting one. Yeah. Mark with the super chat says, "Where is Phelan and Fletcher these days?" Phelan, they're both still under contract. Phelan is more of an ambassador now. You sort of see him, if you go on his sort of Twitter, you see him about. Not our Mike Phelan. I mean, our Mike Phelan might be in the chat watching now, and it's not Josh. They're different people. I know there's been speculation, but they're completely different people. So
we can put that to bed.
Good. Yeah, put that to bed. There's a lot of confusion about people's identity. People think like the Scout and KG are the same person. They're different people.
How? They look totally different. What the hell?
No, exactly. One has a hat on. You know, a different kind of hat. Because I know KG wears hats. I mean, there's a rumor that the scout actually has hair, so they've got to be different people.
Yeah,
you know, you just can't see it. So it's completely different people. And Fletcher, I think he's still the technical director. I don't think. Is he on the bench anymore? I don't think he is.
I haven't even seen him. I haven't seen him.
I don't know. So maybe he's doing his, I don't know, maybe he's doing his other duties. Maybe he's doing all that kind of stuff, certainly, as well. Finally, in the last few minutes, DJ, just wanted to get your thoughts very, very briefly. A big February ahead, because I saw this morning, and obviously the game against Palace kickstarts what has been called by the Manchester Evening News as a frantic February on Saturday. We're going to play 7 times over the next 4 weeks, including that 2-legged Europa League tie with Barcelona, 2 games in 4 days against Leeds United, and the Carabao Cup to top it off. We've got Palace, then Leeds at home, then Leeds away. We've got Barcelona, then we've got Leicester, then we've got Barcelona again, then we've got the Carabao Cup final. I think so. We've got 7 games, whatever, before the Carabao Cup final. I think in comparison, Newcastle have like 3 games before that final. Does that make you concerned going into that final at the end of the month of just like, what shape are we going to be looking like towards the end of it?
Yeah, it does, Owen. Honestly, it does. I think the good thing is that we're getting players back at this moment in time. They're coming back at the perfect time. So Ten Hag can afford to rest key players that have been playing out of their skin for the last few months. But again, I even still think even though we're going to get players coming back, it is still going to stretch us quite thin. And I worry what condition we're going to be in when we rock up for the final. I suspect that there will be changes, but I think he'll have to dip into the youth as well, just to rest a few more players here and there. It's going to be quite hectic. And again, injuries are... Let's just fingers crossed that there isn't any more injuries going forward. I think if we have no injuries going forward, then we will be in a good position. I think we can compete quite comfortably, even though Newcastle will have 3 games. We'll have, 6 or 7. So, I am worried. I am worried.
Yeah, my only concern is just it's almost a bit like when we played Arsenal. You know what I mean? Where we were going into it in really good form, and then just like the couple of games before just got us. Yeah, you know, the draw against Palace, Casemiro got suspended. You don't want to put this out there, but it could be a situation where like 2 games before the final, we're in such good form, and then it's like we go out to Barcelona in the Europa League, and someone picks up an injury, and then suddenly that final just changes, you know, its complexion a little bit. And you go, oh, actually. But look, at the same time, you build up momentum by playing games and winning games. And if we go through February, winning the majority of those ones, beating Barcelona in the Europa League going through, we'll feel unstoppable. We'll feel like, I tell you what, we're ready. We're really ready. We're on it. And that's the way that they've got to look at it. You can't do anything about the games. All you can do is play them and win them. Yeah. And that's what Ten Hag will want to do. As he says about finals, finals are not to be played. Finals are to be won. And when I saw that cry, I went, Eric, come on. Yes.
He's exactly what we've been wanting. And I think for me, I've got the final. I'm scared. I'm not going to lie. I've got this PTSD. We've come so close in the past and just not been able to get over the line, like through mentality issues. But I think we have the correct manager. But again, that final, I'm going to be a nervous wreck because it is very important for us. And him,
indeed. Yes. Wow. And look, a trophy. Could you imagine? But there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. We got over 300. Let's get to 350 on the way out. Still over 1,000 people watching. What's on tap for the remainder of this weekend? Well, press conference. I tell you what, DJ, I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on with the press conference today because it's difficult to tell at the moment with Manchester United because we have so many games. A lot of the time, they are like... the midweek games, they just do the press conference afterwards. So sometimes they're live, sometimes they're not. Right, there is a press conference. I've just checked now. So that's good. That's at 12:30. So I'll be live about 1 o'clock to go through Ten Hag's responses to the questions, all that kind of stuff, speaking to the assembled media at Carrington. So I'll be live then. What else have we got? The preview is going to come out later this evening, 6 p.m. DJ and myself previewing the game against Crystal Palace. Which DJ is going to be there as well at the weekend. He's going to be at Old Trafford too. Saturday, of course, full match day experience, match view, road trip, fan views, you name it. We're going to be doing that. Sunday, Match Day Reloaded. So we've got it all covered. There's so much coming out, DJ. Oh, what a time to subscribe.
We owe it to the community, and this is why we do this, to give everyone the news and the information and what comes out from the club to you guys. So, guys, appreciate the hard work, man. Owen is probably the hardest working man on YouTube at the moment in time. So, got to give you your flowers, brother. You don't sleep.
What I do, DJ, is occasionally I sit here in this chair for 24 hours a day, and occasionally I go like this. And then
does the seat recline into a bed? Does it recline into a bed?
I can go backwards.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I don't want to go too far back because it'll probably break. Yeah. So I don't recline that much, to be honest. And a couple of times I move like this, and it moves a little bit, and I go like that.
Yeah, that's the limit.
Yeah, that's the limit. But there you go, guys. So plenty on tap. We're out of it. Have a good Friday, and I'll speak to you again. And DJ, we'll see you again very soon. Peace.